Hello everyone and welcome back to STW Sports. I hope you all enjoyed my videos from playoff weekend at Wembley Stadium. But now, as the playoffs are over, I'm going to be reacting to my EFL League table, so Championship League 1 and 2, and today I'm starting with League 2. Now, I'm openly going to admit my knowledge of League 2 at the beginning of the season wasn't that great, and it's really developed a lot throughout this season, so some of these are horribly wrong, but I will hold my hands up and say it's probably down to a little bit of lack of research, etc. But yeah, still though, I gave the table a good go, so here are my results. In 24th place, I put Barrow. I'm not too ashamed of this one. Most people did say Barrow would probably finish around here. Even though they came up as conference winners, I just wasn't convinced by them. I just thought I looked at their team. I looked at, obviously, the manager was David Dunn at the start of last season as well. He eventually got sacked. They had 3 managers this season, in fact, so it was an eventful season for Barrow. They stayed up, finished in 21st place. Fair play to them. They did really well in the end. I think that they struggled at times and it really looked like at the beginning the league was going to be too much for them. But no, I'll hold my hands and say fair play Barrow. 21st, stayed up, see if they can build on it next season. Fair play Barrow. I'm actually kind of happy I've been proved wrong on this one. No, so not a bad start. It's only going to get better. 23rd, Morecambe. Yeah, to be fair, no one would have put Morecambe where they did. So Morecambe actually finished 4th and won the playoffs. So Morecambe have changed division in my defence, but the only thing is they're going to now be playing in League 1, not the National League. But yeah, no, fair play Morecambe. Derek Adams done an absolutely fantastic job there. I cannot, say anything more than that. Fair play Morecambe, they defied all expectation, and they also won the playoff final, so absolute fair play to them, full credit. But yeah, no one would have predicted them there, and I certainly was one of them people. I was convinced they were going to go down this season, but yeah, they never, and they got promoted, so absolute fair play Morecambe. In 22nd, I put Stevenage. Now, let's be honest, Stevenage were very lucky to stay up the season before, but to be fair, Alex Revell's came in and done a very good job there. Full credit to him. He's taken a team who were really struggling, and he's done very, very well. I mean, they finished 14th in the end, a solid mid-table finish. Yeah, fair play. They've been really good this season, Stevenage. Much better than anyone expected. I thought they'd stay up, but literally I thought they'd just scrape it. But yeah, fair play, Stevenage. In 21st place, I put Carlisle United. A little bit off with this one. They finished 10th. So, yeah, Chris Beach was in charge as well. I was quite far off with that one. I mean, at one point, Carlisle were pretty much winning the league. It looked like they were going to win League 2, so this could have been a whole lot worse. No, they had loads of COVID issues, though, Carlisle, and then they just had so many games in hand, they failed to win a lot of them, and they just stayed where they were. They finished 10th. It was quite a good season for Carlisle, in truth. They did quite well, and see if they can build on it next season. But yeah, 10th place for me, that's quite a good finish, really, for what I expected from them. But yeah, fair play. In 20th position, I put Cambridge United. I like it! Oh, this is the second horror show in the list. Fair play, Cambridge. What a season it's been. Paul Mullin, Houlihan, absolutely fantastic this season. Mullin's goals have completely fired them up the table. They finished 2nd. They pretty much could have won the league. They were unlucky not to at times. Fair play, Cambridge. They've proven me wrong and they've done it in a big way. See how they do in League 1 next season. See how they do in the summer. I'm interested to see how they do. They've had some good news today about someone signing a contract as well, I've heard, Cambridge. It's not been confirmed yet, but we'll wait and see, when it does. But yeah, fair play to Cambridge. In 19th place, I put Harrogate Town. They actually finished in 17th. Very good season for Harrogate, I'd probably say, overall. I mean, they've done quite well. I mean, they had moments when they're actually in the playoffs very briefly at the start of the season. Only for a few days, but they were in there briefly. They had a bit of a mid-season slump, as many people expected. I mean, I thought they'd stay up 19th. I really thought they had a lot of momentum. And Simon Weaver, what he's done for that club is absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, they've stayed in the division. They've had a good season, I think, Harrogate. They played one of the best games of the season as well against Cambridge, with their second team for that matter as well. So yeah, fair play, Harrogate. They've done well. Finished around about where I thought they would, but just a couple of places higher. So well done, Harrogate. 18th place, I had Walsall. I got a lot of stick for this. Everyone was convinced Walsall were going to have a good season. They actually finished in 19th, so they actually finished one place lower than what I thought they would. So really, I kind of got this one pretty much spot on, bar the odd position. But let's be honest, it's been a pretty miserable season for Walsall. They drew around about 20 games. They never really got out of the table. it was a fairly miserable season. And they lost Darryl Clark as well to Port Vale, so all round it just didn't go well for them. They had a forgettable campaigns, and yeah, they stayed up, but yeah, it wasn't great, to be honest. They finished one place lower than what I thought they would, so yeah. In 17th place, I had Port Vale. Now, to be fair, everyone again was slating me. A lot of people had Port Vale to win the league. I wasn't so convinced, and to be fair, I was right for a lot of the season. Then they got Darryl Clark in, had a fantastic end to the season, and if the season had gone on for another 3 or 4 weeks, I actually think Port Vale would have got into the playoffs. They were quite unlucky that they never. Their end to the season was really encouraging, so I generally think if the season went on, they'd have done it, but they didn't know. They actually finished 13th. A few places higher than what I thought they would, though, so they've done a little bit better. But yeah, no, fair play. They've got a good thing going under Darryl Clark. I really think next season could be Port Vale's year. But this season, though, yeah, it was a bit of mid-table mediocrity. But for where they were battling relegation at one point. It hasn't turned out too bad. In 16th place, I put Oldham Athletic. They actually finished in 18th. Yeah, kind of around what I thought with Oldham. Let's be honest, the trouble they've got with the owners, it's not going to be great there for a while. I think mid-table to relegation is where they'll be for, until something improves there, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, they had a pretty unconvincing. Harry Kewell was sacked towards the end. They brought in Keith Curle. It's not been a good season for Oldham, really. It's been quite a forgettable one, as many people expected. They never looked in relegation trouble, and they've got a good record away to a lot of the good teams, to be fair, but yeah, it's been a pretty forgettable season for them, and what's going on behind the scenes certainly isn't going to help. But yeah, 2 places lower than what I thought they would, so yeah, fair enough. 15th place, I put Grimsby Town, and they, of course, were relegated bottom of the table. I got this one wrong. My thinking behind this was Ian Holloway, safe pair of hands, especially in League Two. I was assuming he was going to last the whole season, but he never. He got sacked in December before Christmas, and it just went so downhill from there for them, and they got relegated, not convincingly, but they got relegated quite convincingly in the end. So, disappointing for them, I'm afraid to say. Relegated, and they're playing National League football next season. Not what I expected, but not a good season, though, for Grimsby. In 14th place, I put Scunthorpe United. Very disappointing season for them as well. They finished 22nd in the end, just 1 place above relegation. They had a horrible end to the season. I think it was about 1 win in the last 17. They had a horrible end, so they could be in trouble next season, Scunthorpe. They've really not had a good season, so yeah, not great really. 14th place, I had them, but they finished 8 places lower than that and just about stayed up, so not great. 13th place, I put Bolton Wanderers. Now, this was probably my most controversial prediction in the list, and my thinking behind this was actually looking to be quite right for most of the season. I thought they've got a brand new squad. It's going to take them time to gel. They're not going to gel in time to get a good finish. So I thought they'd be battling, round about lower end of the table most season, and they'd recover at the end, but it'd be too late. It wasn't the case. They were battling down the lower end of the table till about February, and then they clicked into such a high gear they actually went up automatically in 3rd. So I admit I was wrong with this one. Fair play, Bolton. I'm actually really glad Bolton have done well, because it was sad to see them doing as, finish sitting 19th in the table at one point. So I'm glad for Bolton that they've done well. So fair play to them. And yeah, they'll be in League One next season. And fair play to them overall. They pulled it back very impressively. And Ian Everett's done a brilliant job there second half of the season. In 12th place, I put Colchester United. Now, when making my predictions video, I said I think Colchester fans will not be happy with this and they'll slip off, but they would have been happy with this if they slipped off, because the season they've had, they finished 20th in what was an absolute horror show of a season, to be honest, for them. I mean, I don't know, it just did not go well from them from the minute one. I mean, when they started okay, but then their form just completely slumped, and yeah, they finished 20th and they were battling relegation for most of the season. Hayden Mullins now has the permanent job. I think they've also had 3 managers. It's not been a good season, and I really thought Colchester could do well. I mean, I had them 12th, but I was thinking that was a bit harsh, and I really thought they could actually get promoted. But yeah, I had them 12th and they finished 8 places below that, so I even got this horribly wrong as well. In 11th place, I put Crawley Town. They actually finished in 12th, pretty much right, but just 1 place below. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much more to say about that. Crawley, mid-table. They had a good FA Cup victory against Leeds in the 3rd round, but, I mean, to be honest with you, I think they've had a very standard season, Crawley. I think mid-table, where most people expected them to be, and that's exactly where they finished. But yeah, fair play. And in 10th place, I had Leyton Orient. They actually finished in 11th. Again, like Crawley, one place off. Leyton Orient do now have Kenny Jackett in charge, who has taken over, so that's a really good appointment in my opinion. Yeah, Leyton Orient are decent, to be fair to them. I think they had a pretty standard season, but 10th for where they were a few years ago in League Two, it isn't that bad really. They've done okay. They've not had an outstanding season, but they've just done enough, I'd probably say. In 9th place, I put Mansfield. Now, obviously, this was kind of me being optimistic for Mansfield. I thought I've got to have one team where I'm quite optimistic, and Mansfield were that team. 9th isn't the playoffs, but it's a pretty good finish. Yeah, they actually finished 16th, and Nigel Clough came in around about halfway through and didn't really change that much, really. They were battling relegation briefly at the beginning of the season, but yeah, they kind of faded off. They kind of got better, but nothing special. 16th place. I think Mansfield next season could do well. I say that though. Clough works miracles with Burton Albion, so why can't he do it with Mansfield? But we'll wait and see. But I am a bit more encouraged from going into next season than I was going into this. Even though I had them high in the table, I took a risk and it didn't really pay off. They finished 7 places lower than what I thought they would. In 8th place, I had Newport County. Now, my thinking behind this was Newport would have a good season, but they'd fade off at the end. I thought they'd finish just outside the playoffs. With the way they lost the playoff final, they probably would be hoping this did happen in a way, because they got to the playoff final against Morecambe, and for the second time in 3 years, they lost in extra time. And Newport felt quite hard done by, I think, as well, with a couple of decisions. But look, in the end, Morecambe did go up, and that's all we need to say. And Morecambe did finish 4th, to their credit as well. Newport actually finished 5th, so I was a little bit off with this one. So yeah, I mean, they finished a little bit higher, and they were in the playoffs, got to the final, but unfortunately fell a little bit short. So in 7th place, I put Southend United, and I'll hold my hands up here. I didn't do enough research on them before this. I assumed that they just came down from League One. They'd be in a good position to go straight back up. I mean, Adams get playoffs, but let's be honest, I didn't look into their financial trouble, and it really came back to bite me because they actually got relegated in 23rd. So it's fair to say I was absolutely wrong with this one. And again, that's kind of the fact my League Two knowledge at the start of the season wasn't that good. So yeah, I take responsibility for that and say, yeah, that's my fault. Yeah, terrible prediction, terrible. But yeah, this is one I should have probably seen have come in a bit more. In 6th place, I put Forest Green Rovers. I actually got one right. Forest Green did finish 6th, but I had them to win the playoffs and they didn't. So I'm going to give myself half a point for that. So yeah, half a point. I'll be generous and say, that'll do. But yeah, they lost in the semi-final in a thrilling game, a thrilling 2 legs to Newport, to be fair. The second game was 4-3, brilliant performance, but they never got there in the end. Yeah, it's been a weird season for Forest Green, really. They sacked their manager after around about 4.5 years as well. I can't fully remember his name at the moment. But yeah, they sacked their manager and they were doing really well. They were in the automatics most of the season, but they just fell off towards the end. They did get a playoff place, but yeah, they didn't end up getting there. I thought they'd win the playoffs. I thought it was their time. It turned out not to be. In 5th place, I put Exeter City. I mean, Exeter City fans probably would have taken a 9th place finish where they did, other than more playoff heartache. So yeah, to be honest, I think this is actually not that bad for Exeter. They did finish 9th, but yeah, they had promising signs this season. Exeter, they're an entertaining team to watch, but they just didn't get there in the end. 9th place, a little bit disappointing from their point of view, but look, they'd have taken that over more playoff heartache in my opinion, so it could have been worse. In 4th place, I had Cheltenham Town. I was really optimistic for Cheltenham coming into this season, but not optimistic enough for them to win the league, which they actually did. Yeah, I had a good feeling under Cheltenham, under Michael Duff. Speaking of Michael Duff, roll the footage. What a dance, what a guy. But yeah, Cheltenham won the league. They were fantastic this season. Yeah, fair play to them. They've, they did really well. For me, deserved champions as well. It could have gone to either them or Cambridge. They both were very good at times. But no, fair play to Cheltenham. They actually played Man City in an FA Cup game where they took the lead as well. So yeah, fair play. I must say, I'm very impressed really with how Cheltenham did, and they've won the league. And let's see now how they get on in League One. Fascinated to see. In 3rd place, I put Bradford City. They actually finished in 15th. Had a really bad start under Stuart McCall. Mark Trueman and Colin Sellers came in, did very well. They faded off a bit towards the end, and they ended up finishing 15th, as I said, but they were near the playoffs for quite a while. they just faded off a bit towards the end. But yeah, unfortunate, but I do think Bradford will come back stronger next season. It depends who their managerial appointment is, but whoever it is, I really think they could do well. In second place, I put Salford City. I'm not going to lie, I mainly put them high because I know about their finances and funds. I'm not really that familiar with Salford, to be honest, and they actually finished 8th, so they didn't even get a playoff place in the end, so this is a pretty horrible prediction as well. I don't know, I just kind of thought, you know, Salford, they had their bedding in season, I guess, last season in League 2 where they didn't do too great, but I assumed this year they'd smash it, but they didn't. They just kind of finished, you know, 8th. And yeah, they were in the playoffs very briefly. They lost to Colchester second from last game, and that just completely did them, so yeah, I think next season could be their year, but I feel like I'm going to be saying that about Salford for a while at this rate. But yeah, I had them second. Yeah, they actually finished 8th, so I was quite far off. And in first place, my winners of League 2, I put Tranmere Rovers. I was again wrong. They finished 7th. They did get in the playoffs at least, but they were beaten in the semi-finals by Morecambe. My thinking was Tranmere ended, you know, before the season was curtailed. In my opinion, if the season wasn't curtailed last year, they'd have stayed up in League 1. Tranmere, they had loads of momentum. They were just starting to find their feet in that division. It didn't happen. They got relegated in the end, and I felt it was quite bad for them, to be honest. It was disappointing. But no, this season though, Keith Hill came in and it did all right, but he actually got sacked before the playoffs as well. Disappointed, to be honest with you, for Tranmere. I really thought they'd bounce straight back up. They finished 7th, but yeah, they scraped into the playoffs, but it wasn't enough in the end for them, and yeah, they never did it. So yes, that leaves my final score with half a point out of 24. I'm not doing so well on these predictions so far, so my Premier League and League 2 combined, my combined score is half a point out of 44, so I'm not doing too well right now, so let's hope my League 1 and Championship ones really boost me up. But yeah, that's it for my League 2 predictions anyway. Like I said, my knowledge at the start of the season wasn't great with League 2. I really came into this guessing, really. I didn't really, you know much about the teams, but I think like now I've got a greater knowledge of the teams, so it'd be a bit better next season, hopefully. But yeah, we'll wait and see when I do my predictions for the beginning of next season. Of course, a huge congratulations to Cheltenham Town, Cambridge United, Bolton Wanderers and Morecambe for being promoted to League 1. Very excited to see how all 4 of these teams do, of course. I think Cheltenham, Cambridge and Morecambe are all fresh faces to League 1, which will be very interesting. Bolton, of course, have been fallen giants. They're back now. One thing I'll say, if Bolton start like they did this season, then they will not be staying up. But that doesn't matter. We'll wait and see how they do play. I think they've got promising signs under Ian Evatt, so we'll wait and see. But yes, congratulations to all them teams. Hopefully as well, Southend and Grimsby can do their best to bounce back on the first attempt in the National League. But yeah, let's see how League 2 goes next season. And I will say as well, League 2 has been fantastic this season. It's been a tough year for everyone without supporters, but we made it to the end. We're here at the end of the season. All 46 games for each club have been played. We made it. So yes, here we are. And yes, so that is all I have to say anyway. But thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon.